So, so hey everyone, welcome to the 11th session of Automation Vidyalaya series. So today in this session, we will be covering error and exceptional handling. As the speaker, we have Mustaq Rasid working as a senior technical lead in EYGDS. He has more than 10 years of experience in the IT field, while having more than 6 years of experience in RPA development. And talking about myself, I am Shantanu Shaha, pursuing BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Technomin Salt Lake. And today I am the moderator for this session. And so let's get started with the session. And if you all have any doubts, you can unmute yourselves and write in the chat also. And yeah, so over to you, Mustaq.
Hey, thank you, Shantanu. And thank you, audiences, for joining this session. Today, we'll be learning a bit more about how we can handle the errors and exception using UiPath. So when we talk about UiPath, there are different components. I believe you have already gone through. Those are UiPath Studio, those are UiPath UiPath Orchestrator, and as well as UiPath Assistants. We will be focusing on the programmatic error handling or exception handling today, and we'll be bound to UiPath Studio so far, because Orchestrator is something we cannot cover in one session. Maybe that is a part of that is a part of a production deployment team. So there are different version of Orchestrator available, and for those to cover up those encountered errors, we have to arrange another session, and that is out of scope as of now. I believe everyone from this particular group has already installed the UiPath. Anyone is pending with installation of the UiPath so far? No. Okay, no worries. Let me share my screen. Let me know that if you can see my screen. Are we good?
Yeah, it's visible.
Cool. Okay, so as already we have, we know that what particular agenda we will be covering today. Those are related to errors and exceptions. Errors we will be not focusing that much, because when we are applying our code in UiPath Studio, we'll be finding what particular error it is throwing already from the panel. So say we are trying to converting any particular data type which could not be converted into, say we try to convert a string into integer. That is technically is not possible, like the typecasting of a particular variable. When I am referring the typecasting and type converting, those are not related to core technological terms, but these are pretty simple English terms. So when any person has any particular query regarding any particular terms I'm using, please raise your voice or raise your hand and let me know. I can explain things a bit more generative way. Okay. So before that, proceeding to the chapter, anyone can answer that what we do consider as error, or what we do consider as exception. Anyone from the group? If anyone wants to. No worries. Maybe I can cover it first, and then I can revert my question to you at the end of the session, so that you will be in a place to teach me how to do this handling things, like the particularly error and exception. Okay. We will be watching some sort of information from the PPT, and then we will be go to UiPath Studio, and then we will write the code. Code means the blocks or low code things, and then we will see how it works actually. And then after completion of this particular activity, then we will discuss about how far this particular activity or this capability we will be using in our daily life. Daily life means when we are working on a ready to go project. That may be production code, or that may be part of our assessment. Okay. Before that, we should have an objective. That objective is why you should be handling an exception. Okay. Exception is something, or error is something which can like interrupt your process or interrupt your workflow when it is running, or maybe when it is about to running. So when you go to UiPath Studio, there you will be finding two options. One is debug and one is run. I think someone has already covered this particular thing, that how debug thing is working in UiPath Studio, and as well as how run is working. In layman series, like in layman words, I can explain that when you are doing the debugging thing, that works as an interpretation of each of the workflow. Interpretation means line by line. So it goes to line 1, then interprets to, and then like do the activity it is supposed to be, and then it, after the completion, it goes to the second block or second line of the code. So that is called interpretation. When we do talk about compilation, that does mean when your code is like you are running that code as a whole workflow, it will be compiled into machine codes, and then it will be running at the background. It like you should not be interacting, or you will not be able to interacting with the user interface or on the front end when you are running your bot from the from the studio. So be a bit attentive over these particular terms, like the debug and the run thing. So when we are running a project, or when we are running a process, or when we are running an activity, there are several type of like activities we do have. We name it in different way. So basically activity is a small chunk of your process, and using many process you create a project. Am I right? Okay, so in that particular case, when you are running your processes or your project, many kind of interruption may happen. If I can give some example, or if I want to give some example, we can say very feasible options, like when you are running a process, and maybe that like completion to run that process will be taking more than 20 minutes. And by that time, your internet may gone, because your process needs to like interact with internet browser. If the internet is gone, then your process will be terminated, or it will be aborted, correct? And when I'm talking about this terminated, this particular talk like words as aborted, these are all English words which we use in as a syntax in UiPath. We will show, like we'll see that in like upcoming slides. So what was that example? So if a particular process or a particular project is getting executed, by that time, if your internet is getting down, maybe your power source has been down, or it may be possible your system has been rebooted. So these are unintentional like abruption of your process, correct? So this is one kind of issue we find during our execution. Another type of problems we face during the execution, that is, say if we have a process which interacts with Gmail or email, and like before interacting with email, it does login, and for the login we need a credential, and that credential comes from a particular user. We can store it in your system in orchestrator asset in many forms, in Excel, whatever we want to. There are like multiple options. But what if we do not provide that credential before logging into the Gmail? Then definitely our process will stop to get run before it is not getting the credential itself. So that is one kind of issues. So some issues we may predict, some issues we cannot predict. UiPath is a platform, mostly many of the programming languages has this capability to implement such kind of activity using some of the say chunk of code in your process, so that you can easily handle those kind of situation. Okay, there are certain situation we can handle, there are certain situation we cannot handle. Say for if your system has been rebooted, and then if you want to run your system, then definitely you can create a scheduler to run your process, that we can like irrespective of getting any kind of issues, this kind of issues, we can run our process. But when we are trying to log in into Gmail, if we do not have the credential, then definitely we will not be able to log in, and there a human intervention is required. So certain cases we have to choose which we want to avoid, and certain cases we have to choose that what we do not want to avoid, but we have to keep something, let people know that they can take decision that what they want to do now. Okay. And I think like I have given an example why do have these particular activities in UiPath to handle the exceptions. How many types of exception we have told about? One is say for system abruption, internet browser crash itself, maybe some other issues, maybe some data conversion issues. Those issues could be considered as system exception. And few of the things you know already, that these particular certain conditions needs to be met until unless you are running your process, those are called business exception. We will see how this system and business exception are we can implement in UiPath. But before that, I just wanted to give a brief details why you should be using the exception model in our process or in our project. We can see over here that what are the goals we have so far before knowing this exception handling. So it says that because of the end goal of the creating automation project is need to move into the production. So I think some of our audiences or aspirants are already working in different assignments which has been provided by our automation Vidyalaya team. They are working some products or some solution which will be market ready. Market ready means those will be in your system, currently in your system, but those will be used by larger audiences who will be leveraging your automation skill or automation solutioning in their system for their production deployment, or say some production cases. Okay, so in that case, I'm not sure that that person who is using, he is well known with the syntax with UiPath or programming language, but our product or our solution will be guiding also them, that if they find any kind of issues during their execution, the project or the process will be self-sufficient to guide them about their next activity. That should be manual activity in terms of physical presence, or in terms of providing some information into their assets, or maybe they need to change some settings. That is why we need to cover this exception handling when we are doing programming, or when we are doing this kind of projects. This is one part. Second thing it says about, while our processes are running in the production, it's reasonable to expect that ideal condition we have developed them in might change over time. Probably I have given an example over this one, but I can give you a more relative example so far. Say we have built a business solutioning or a process which will be interacting with Gmail, and Gmail has the login page has user ID, and then there is a text box to give your password, and there is a button as sign in, correct? But what in different time, say for after 2 days or 3 days, or maybe 1 year, or after 2 years, maybe Gmail has changed their login page. So definitely your bot will be failing to log in into your system. And that particular time, the person who is using your solution, he will be, or she will be, or they will be able to understand what particular exception it has been generated, and using that exception message or say exception properties, they will alleviate that particular issue. So they will get to know if the design of the page has been changed, or if the user ID text box is not there, if the password field has been removed, if the sign is button has been changed. So we cannot predict that over time how the other particular third-party activities will be changing. So your solution or your activity should be capable enough to cover that part, to let the people know that which particular part is actually failing. Okay. The third point, it says about exception handling means providing instruction to recognize these events and recover from them. I'm not sure that our project or our programming skill will be self-sufficient to recover uh, like all these kind of activities or all this kind of abruption or disruption. But we have to make sure that it should be giving some instruction to the user to recognize what kind of issues that are. Okay. Till here, any questions? Anyone? If no, then we can proceed through.
No.
Cool. The second slide says about what we learn about exception handling. We will see in UiPath itself how this particular thing we will be doing. These are overviews, like to introduce us about what particular terms I'm going to use or syntax we are going to use in our session. Okay. So it says about identify and differentiate between different types of exception. I have already probably covered that particular thing, that there are mostly two types of exception we do have in programming or in UiPath. That is, one is system exception and one is business exception. Systems are something we cannot like predict it will be happening in which particular condition. So those goes to system exception. And business exception, that means business has to give some sort of input before processing your project. One example I have given, that you have to give an credential, correct? Maybe after like doing the logging, you want, like your process want to check the unread emails. So you have to make your business, your solution or your project in robust way, so that it can go on only to that inbox folder, and then it reads the unread email, correct? So those are the part of this like business exception, what we know about, and where the business needs to give some sort of like inputs. Then we will be watching some sort of example common exception handling things, and those are related to TryCatch, throw, Rethrow. I think most of us in this particular group has already know about these particular terminologies, that there is some sort of syntax we have same in every programming language. That is TryCatch, that is throw, and that is Rethrow. We will see how those particular things work in UiPath. We have Retry Scope on base of some conditions, like if your process is getting failed on a particular condition, before that it needs to be met, and then the process can retry. So UiPath gives that particular flexibility. We will see where to, like where we'll be using these particular activities. We have one more activities. This is not the activity, this is actually a property of activities, that is ContinueOnError property. I can explain more about this particular thing in coming slides. And we do have like awesome and this is magical. This particular thing, the global exception handler is something magic we do have. Okay, because using the global exception handler, you can guide your process where to stop, where to start, how to stop, how to start. Those conditions you can create. Okay, maybe when we will be searching this particular activity, we have some sort of example. I have created like attended and unattended example for those. We'll see how to do that. And then we will be discussing about how these particular activities or this particular error handling or exception handling things we can utilize in our project up to larger extent. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Cool. Next thing, we will be covering about the errors. It's not like that I'll be covering something regarding errors today, because errors may happen in any particular condition which is not met by the user or by the system or by the environment. Okay, maybe you can see when you are assigning a value in UiPath and you have assigned that particular variable as, say, string, and you want to cover uh, that assignment variable, like that variable, to integer. That is like, that could not be possible. Let me show you something. If we are talking about practical example, say if we take a sequence over there, no, we can start it from main also, no worries. We can take a sequence from here. We have an assign activity. Cool. We have declared a variable, say str name, and that type is string. We took as str name, and then we try to assign a value that is 1, 2, 3. If you can see here, it says that it is strict, this particular activity is strict to do implicit conversion from integer to string. This is an error. This is not an exception, because when you are assigning your value, an integer value to your string, that type conversion is never going to be happen. And there are some reason. Maybe we can cover those things in different session, but we cannot do this kind of thing when we are like assigning some things which we can see here that it is showing some faulted activity. Those we can say as error. Okay, but now if we can do this thing, the error is gone. Why? Because now 1, 2, 3 is not actually the value of 1, 2, 3. Basically is as it is converted into a string, and now the str name has 1, 2, 3 as a string value. Okay, so this was an error. This was an error, and error we cannot we do not need to handle it through programmatically. Rather than when we are assigning something or when we are converting something in our project, or maybe we are using some activity which is implicitly will be using for some dedicated activities, we can see those things. Those are we called as errors. How many types of errors we have so far? So UiPath categorized 3 types of error. One is syntax, one is user, and one is programming error. Syntax error is something the compilation, and what we have already discussed probably, some compilation or interpretation could not be completed. The right example I have given, that when you are trying to assign your integer value to a string, that is an interpretation problem, and that is like uh, that is purposefully given as an exclusion in UiPath, not only UiPath but any programming language, so that we can tell as syntax error. Okay, something as we can call as user error. It says that where the software determines that the user input is not acceptable or for some reason. We can give an example. Say for we have created an activity to open an txt file, and then write something over there. Okay, are like, can we paste any image in txt? We cannot, correct? So when we were like creating that activity, like open txt or open file as txt, and then use an activity to paste your image into txt file, that would not be possible. So in that particular case, you know already that this is out of your scope. So that will be considered as user error. So user can identify that particular issue, and they can like probably create another alternative solution for that, or maybe they can exclude that particular use case from their automation process. The third one, it says about the programming error. It says that where the program contains no syntax error, but does not produce the expected result. This type of error are often called as bugs. Maybe for this particular error, I can give you an example. That example is related to an application. I can give you an example of Gmail. You have given a credential as user ID and then user name. Now bot goes to browser. It opens the login page for the Gmail, and then it puts the login ID and password, and then it clicks on the sign in. Okay. Now, after clicking on the sign in, maybe somehow the internet has like gone, or maybe the interaction with UiPath, like between your UiPath and your browser, has been broken, and that particular time it will get some timeout exception error. Why? Because the communication between Chrome browser or the browser and UiPath robot or agent has been broken. That will be considered as programming errors. We cannot predict programming errors prior until unless we are like encountering those. And these programming errors actually are the superset of exception. Okay, so these two we cannot control, but something which your process is doing, like programming errors, that we can control, and we can categorize those as system or business exception. Mostly it goes to system exception. Okay, any doubt till here regarding errors?
No.
Cool. Maybe you can continue. Just to be on same page, if anyone has any kind of like doubt on any terminology, any syntax, or any idea I'm sharing, just raise your voice, raise your hand, let us know so that we can address those things. And like question and answer can help us to get know the product a bit more well. Like that is probably we already know, everyone knows that particular thing. So maybe I will try my best to be more interactive. But if you have any particular question, please let me know in terms of maybe English, Hindi, or Bengali. I'm not that good in Hindi, but I can like try to address those things. Okay. So this particular, yeah, please.
Yeah, Shubham here. Actually, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please.
Like, could you please go to the previous slide?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So here you have told like syntax error and user error, we can't control, right? It's uncontrollable, right? And programming errors is controllable, right?
Correct.
Okay. So my doubt is like in the syntax error while writing the code, so we can also like we can see like right like what we are writing wrong, so we can resolve those syntaxes by just searching on that or like that.
Correct, Shubham. So probably I was trying to address that particular thing. So if we are trying to assign something which could not be done by the process itself, because this is a syntax error, why? And this is the reason is the integer cannot be converted into string. Maybe I do not have any particular idea what it interprets actually. Maybe I do not come from a programming language. So what will be I will be doing? I will be searching with this particular message that this strict on disallows implicit conversion from integer to string. Maybe you will not be getting those information properly for UiPath. Though there are strong database in UiPath forum, people are adding more information though into those, but I'm sure when you are searching for using this particular syntax error, you can get some sort of solution, not the solution, but it will, like, the people will explain you why this particular conversion could not be completed. So we have to avoid this particular kind of syntax when we are writing our code. So this is something we can see over our UiPath, and then we can just stop doing us to repeat this particular repeat this particular error prone activity. So that's it. We cannot control it using programmatically.
Okay, okay, perfect. I got the sense.
Okay, cool. Maybe we do not need to explain this particular slide anymore because we have already discussed how system exception and what is business exception. There are different types of system and business exception may occur in your system when you are creating your project or your workflow or anything, like you are doing any programming in your studio. Okay, so yeah, please.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Someone had a doubt here. It says how to handle syntax errors.
How to handle syntax error? Rightly, I have just probably given an example. We cannot handle it using any programming knowledge, but we can handle it by watching what particular thing it is throwing. So maybe I can give an example a bit more illustrative way. That is, UiPath Studio has been incorporated some sort of exception handling within their studio or within their IDE or environment, so that when we are doing some sort of improper activity and it is throwing an error at the source, correct? So when we are assigning an integer to an string type of variable, UiPath Studio is already throwing an exception, and we can see that exception and we can stop ourselves to doing those, because we cannot anyway convert a string into, convert integer into string until unless we are changing some syntax over here. Does that answer you to your question?
Bajrang, it was you. So was your doubt clear? Please reply in the chat or unmute yourself.
I can give you an awesome example using this particular activity, but in a reverse way. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me create an integer variable, and this should be in 32. Okay, let me do one thing. Try to assign int name, and here now I am giving an string ABC. It also says, or we can do one thing, 1 2 3. This is a string now, and now it says the strict on disallows implicit conversion from string to integer. So either way, the type conversion and type casting is not working until unless we are using some sort of syntax to do those. Okay, there is a way to convert a string into integer, so we can do that. Are we getting any error now? Well, now this particular error has been gone. Why? Because 1 2 3 within double quotes, it's definitely a string, but we are trying to convert it into an integer. That doesn't be like a probable option we can do. But what we can do, if some of the process is getting 1 2 3 as a value, and we need to assign that particular value as an integer, then we can convert this string into integer to assign to another variable. To answer to your question, how we can handle this kind of syntax error, that is, we have to like find out what is the business requirement actually it is. It is like if it is a assignment of string to integer or integer to string directly, it would not be possible. But if there is a need that someone has to like convert the integer to the convert the string to the integer, there are explicit or implicit ways we can do. For those, we have to like take reference from UiPath forum or say some other programming languages. That completely depends upon the business case what we are trying to implement. Does that answer to your question, Bajrang?
Yeah, he says yes in the chat.
Okay, cool. No
Cool.
problem.
Mustaq, it is a typecasting, right? What
This
you
is
did?
yeah. The
Okay.
first one I was trying to type converting, and the other one is typecasting. So
Got
it
it.
yep. For the audiences probably who already knows about typecasting and type conversion, it is good for them. But who doesn't know about this particular thing? These are simple logic. When you are trying to convert something big to small and small to big, and that depends upon your bit size actually. So when we talk about integer, that comes with some bit or byte size. Definitely, maybe who are like from the programming language ITCS, they know well about it. But who wants to know more, they can check some reference from UiPath forum and or UiPath docs. They will be getting to know. Like knowing these particular things are not mandatory, but it is good to know. We'll be discussing something about some sort of system exception. System exception is something we cannot predict prior to execution of our system. It may be happen also when the developer is implementing some sort of logic. Maybe some logic has to be there in their programming, but those are not there, and your system will be throwing some exception. So something like in layman word, something the developer is forgetting to implement, that will come under system exception. And something business has to give some sort of input, but they are not giving, those will be coming into business exception. So this is, and like this is something we have to keep reminding, that developer is missing something. It may be like maybe developer doesn't have always the like foreseen of all kind of situation it may happen. But different, like how to handle exception, there are plenty of options we do have. We can refer those from UiPath docs. I will be sharing this PPT with you. You can definitely go and see from where we can learn more about things. But something developer is forgetting to implement, and or maybe developer is unable to forecasting to let themselves know that this kind of situation may happen, those kind of exception will come under system exception. And business already I probably told. There are different sorts of different type of exception, system exception we do have. Like this is not, system exception are not limited to these option. These are most well-known exception we get when we do programming using UiPath, or when we develop something in our project. We get this kind of exceptions frequently. So that is why I have mentioned this particular thing, so that when you are trying to build any exception handling scenario in your code, and then you get some sort of exception, you can just at least know what are the root causes. Okay. It says about that null reference exception, that means you have not initialized your variable. Index out of range exception, I can give you example. Say for you are initializing an array a size of 4, say an array like one dimension array with 4 room, or like 4 size. Okay. But when you are trying to push your value, there are 6 items. So definitely your array size will be smaller than you are trying to push your information. So in that particular case, your program will be throwing this particular exception. Not only like this is not limited to array, but some other activities also. Like if you're trying to push something which is larger than which you have declared, there you will be getting this bit of exception, like that is index out of range exception. Argument exception, probably I have already discussed. Maybe I can reiterate. So when you are invoking your process, say for one process A and one process is B, and your A process, like your B process, will be getting some value from A, and then it will process something, and then it will show that information to A again, correct? And that particular thing, if you do not initialize your argument with some variable, then you will be getting this kind of exception, the argument exception. Selector not found is very famous because most of the activities we use for business cases, probably 50% of the business process have UI interaction, and this is very frequent. Like we frequently see that particular selector is not available. It may be due to the selector got changed, or maybe the value of the selectors or the properties of the selector got changed, or maybe the selector itself got disappeared, or maybe when we have used that selector in our project that was in left side, and when we have rerun the process that was on right side. This may happen also. So in that particular case, when you are getting any selector is not found, you have to go to that particular chunk or block of your code, and you have to debug for which particular property it got changed for that particular UI element, and you have to redesign it. Okay. Text not found exception is something is very popular. It mostly we get when you are trying to say get some text from your image, or text from your text file, text from your browser, and due to some issues, there are different sorts of issues. Maybe your element itself has not been loaded properly, and your activity was not able to extract the text from those application. And due to timeout period, because we have like a defined timeout for each of the activities, that is 30 milliseconds, but we can control that many of the activities so far. If within given time period, if your process is unable to get the text, then definitely you'll be getting this kind of exception. And I believe when you are getting this particular exception, you will be able to find which particular activity it is throwing the exception and what particular step you have to take. Next one is application exception. It is also like quietly common. So we will be like checking this particular exception when we'll be doing some sort of practical example using our UiPath. So your UiPath activity has some sort of integration with, say, other applications, or say because your UiPath itself is running on Microsoft Windows, or say other operating systems. These are applications. So in any case, your process is getting disrupted due to some application issues, you will be getting this error. Okay. So these are the commonly exception we get from system exception. The next one is business rule exception. Probably we have already covered that. What is business rule exception? Business rule exception covers that when business has to give some sort of input, but they are not allowing, or they have not given proper things. May be possible instead of say for in Gmail login, they have to give a login ID in a format a@b.com. That should like that is probably the user input it should be, but user has given input as A only, because they are assuming that @b.com or domain.com will be there itself. So you have to communicate to business that it is not a part of your input, but you have to give it. So either way, they can suggest that you need to incorporate that a@b.com in your code, or they will give the whole user as a@b.com. So those are business exception, and we can handle with communicating with the business. Okay. I think probably we have discussed about this system and business exception, and next we will be going into the UiPath itself to see how those things was working. But before that, we have one question. Maybe, yeah. Anyone can answer this question. User is trying to log into Gmail without credential. It will be considered as business exception. Business. Anyone has answered? It is not business or system exception. I'm not sure if
it's business exception.
This will be business exception. Okay, cool. I think I do not have to elaborate more on this. Done. The next question is it is asking about URL of Gmail suddenly stopped working and user is unable to log in. Is it like, do not assume that the first question answer was business, so it should be system exception. Get it in logic wise why it should be business or why it should be system. Then it will be better so that we can implement similar kind of logic in our program. Anyone? This should be system.
System
Business.
The question it says about that URL of Gmail suddenly stopped working. I do not know how it got stopped. Maybe the power got shut down. Maybe my router has been stopped working. Maybe the browser has like crashed, or maybe some other uninterrupted system exception may happen.
Communication may be interrupted.
Yeah, communication may be also interrupted. So URL of the Gmail is suddenly stopped. That business has nothing to do with, because URL is perfectly working fine in other system. And maybe in next run, when you are running your process with like in next cycle, maybe your process will be working fine. And user has already given the perfect working credentials. So business cannot do anything on this particular case. So they have to route it through, like we are the developer, we have to route it through system exception. So any uninterrupted, unknown interrupted thing are happening into our system, that we will be considering a system exception, and we will be implementing that as a system exception only. Okay. So we have probably understood about the common exception type. Let's learn about how things are happening in UiPath. Okay. So I want to show you something in PPT, and then we can see how these things are working in UiPath. Cool. There are two slides consecutively. One is TryCatch and one is TryCatch, throw and rethrow. Okay. I will like share this PPT so that you can go through these particular slides and get information. I will be more comfortable to show this thing into UiPath Studio or from the UiPath Studio. Okay, so let us go there. Let me delete this. Okay, let us start with TryCatch. Okay. Anyone has any idea what is TryCatch is actually?
Try is where we write the code. If any exception or error coming, then that particular block of code will not execute. That will go to the catch block.
Perfectly said. That is one kind of use case we use in our project when we implement. But like the power of TryCatch is not restricted to that one only. So yeah, in layman words or in layman explanation, TryCatch itself gives you an insight what it does actually. So try something, and then if it is failing, then catch that particular error or that particular disruption, and then take decision what your process will be doing. Okay, mostly we say it as a try catch, but try catch comes with another activity, that is finally. So when though we see it is a try catch, but it comes with try, catch, and finally. So probably already Krishnendu has given these particular details that when we are trying something, if it is failing, then we are catching that particular disruption, or say the properties of disruption, and then we take decision what we have to do. And if we have something to do like forcefully, then we have to keep those things in finally. Whatever it happens, maybe I can give you an example. If we are trying to log in into Gmail, so I have given an activity that is login into Gmail, and there it finds an error during, say, the credential are not provided. Then it will go to catch, and then it will take a decision if it has goes to, like, if it has go to business or system exception, and then is coming out from your whole block try catch. Okay, but in that case, if you want to like stop your robot also, or if you want to do re-logging, or if you want to open an activity which comes after the Gmail login, you have to give it finally. So either way, try will be executed. If it is not executed by some mistakes, not the mistakes, but some disruption, it will catch, and after catching, it will, like, try will not be getting executed, but finally will definitely getting executed. Okay, so in any cases, you have, if you have to something run by forcefully, if your primary activity is getting failed, you have to run it anyway, you have to keep it in finally. Anyone has seen the RE framework? Maybe you can see there in the process, there is a finally, and in finally there is your, like, uh, if your process is running or not, there is an option to execute your process till the exception handling. Maybe it is successful, maybe it is a system exception, or maybe it is a business exception. So maybe when we are doing some sort of training on RE framework, we can give some deep details how these particular things are working. But we can see, and we can start it from here to build something. Okay. Maybe we have to see how try catch and finally works. Let me, before that, let me do one thing. Let me open the project folder. Let me create new exception, sorry, new Excel file, say CGPA. We will see how this try catch, throw, rethrow, these things are working. Okay, using a use case. So let me create data for those before using those activities. CGPA, CGPA may 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let me save it. Let me close it. Next, go to an activity. Read Excel. I can use it. Read workbook also. Read range workbook. Here I can this file, Probably I have to give the sheet name. Sheet name is, let me check what is the sheet name over there. It is sheet 1, but to reconfirming those things will be better always. Yeah, it is sheet name. Rename copy. This is my activity. Sheet name is given. Range we have to give. It is from A2 to A6, or we can give as all. We are assuming that it has a add header data because we do not want this particular row as in data table. So we have to check this as add header. We are creating a data table dt cgpa. Done. So before using TryCatch, we have to see like what was the need of the TryCatch. Okay, it is saying that it is out of the scope. No worries, because I have deleted it. I can create it again. These are the variables we do not need more. And then we can use an for each row in the data table. Okay, so in current row, and the data table is dt cgpa. This is an type. We can see message box. You can type it here as cgpa colon and then plus the value should be current row dot toString. We can cover. Let us see how it works first. So let me run this process, okay, to see what is the actual output. Say for there is a business need. They say that we have to read like CGPA from given Excel, and then we have to categorize those, and we have to say check what is the CGP actually. And then business comes with some other requirement that if someone is getting more than 3, it should be considered as pass, and someone is getting less than 3, it should be equals to or less than 3, then it should be considered as fail. Okay, so before implementing that particular thing, we are trying to read it is saying system.data row. Just give me a second. Current row. Let me stop. We should not be doing seeing the 0. 0 dot. Are able to see what it is returning? Why I have given this particular position? Because before that it was like returning the whole as an object. Okay, so now for each row we are trying to get what is the value of each particular row. Now it is giving, like it is running through the data table. It has been captured from the Excel, and it is throwing those information one by one. Okay, so this is one part of business like wanted to implement, that people has to implement something where they will be giving the CGP information, and bot has to read those. Okay, now if someone has to say implement that if the CGP is less than 3 or equals to 3, it will be considered as fail. Okay, so in that case, what we have to do, we have to use an if condition, correct? And there we have to use this condition as is less or equal to 3. No worries, it should be integer only. And then we can give an message box over there. Is we can add in condition. What it is trying to say is trying to say that is an object. Okay, let me check if condition has an property. Are we good? Yes. Let me open in debug mode. We have an option to like see how our project or how our process is running, like executing through. Okay, so there is an execution trail, and let me start it from here. Let us debug the project to see how it works. So it came to here first. One, then I believe it will be coming for the second one also, because the second value of this Excel is 2. No, it is running for multiple time. Okay. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. It is coming twice because we have another activity assigned here. So it is coming to this particular activity because this is like meeting the condition, and then it is running by till end. So you should not be, you can eliminate that. This came to the first condition, then second also. It will coming for third one also, because we have kept the condition as equal to less equal to 3. and then 4. This particular thing is happening here, correct? So we are building some sort of logic based upon the business requirement. Now let me show you something. Did we see any interruption when this particular bot was running? No, correct? But let me show you something. If I open this Excel, and then we try to run it. Now you can see here, it says that read range workbook, the process cannot access the file, correct? It says about the location, and there is a reason. The reason it says that because it is being used by another process. So any particular Excel is getting used by another process, UiPath bot cannot access that file, and it will throw an error to your system or to your process. Mostly in production, there I have seen like 100 of bots are getting run, like those are running, and 100 of bots using probably 500 of processes, and 500 of processor using maybe 5,000 of Excel. You cannot predict anything until unless you go to your log, or you cannot like see what particular exception it has been throwing so far. Okay, so to avoid this kind of situation, what we do, we handle this kind of exception in a way so that the other person who is like looking into the log, or maybe we can add some activities to incorporate those information in an email, and we can send that particular email to the corresponding person so that they can easily get which particular exception it has been happened for which particular process, when it has been happened, and they can take necessary steps to alleviate those issues. But doing those, we have to apply something. Here, the usage of TryCatch is coming. Okay, so in our project or in our process, when we are doing any activity which is interacting with other types of applications, we can always use it within a TryCatch. So you can always drag it from here, like TryCatch drag, and put it in try activity, or you can use surrounded by TryCatch. In that case, the main activity will be under the try, and here we have catches. How we have, like we can define the catches. We have two types of errors so far. One is system and one is business. This time we have system exception, correct? So in that case, we will be choosing this option, system.exception. And what will be the activity? We will be giving some activity as, say, message box. We can give it like, please close the Excel. Now, if we run it, see how it runs actually. Still our Excel is there, is open mode. It failed, correct? But you are not getting that exception which is thrown by the UiPath, but itself, like rather than we are seeing which particular exception we have defined for that particular kind of exception. And here we can see that if someone is watching this kind of error, they know what corrective action they have to take. It says that please close the Excel, like using, this is another Excel because the Excel has not been run. So definitely that data table has not been created. So in that case, what we will be doing? We will be doing this also surrounded by TryCatch. So any activity you are using, like in your process, try to surround it by TryCatch. When you cannot know, like you do not know what the source of the exception may happen. Now let me add an exception here. This is also a system exception. We can do right line. That will be a bit easy for. Code can not process. Here, please close the Excel. Instead of doing is, we can write it line, because I really do not want to see message box every time. Now see what happens. You see, you are not getting basically any interruption in your execution. Your execution was smooth. Your execution was 100% proof. It has been executed successfully, but your desired information or desired process has not been completed. Why? Because it says that on first part, you have to close your Excel. On the second part, it says the bot cannot process. We can like edit this error message according to our business logic, or according to the business, not only business logic, but according to our choice. Okay. Till here, are we good? Like how the TryCatch works actually? Any questions so far?
No.
Cool. Maybe guys, we have to extend a bit for 10-15 minutes because we have started a bit late, and I really want to cover every component so far, because these are very important. When you are the first question was before we started, that when we are doing the production support kind of work, how it could be like helping us to, like, if we know UiPath. So these are the part of your that particular question. If you know how to interact with system with the exception logic, we will be more it will be more easy to interact with the already implemented system, because none of the system are 100% proof that this will be executing successfully. The more exception things we'll be knowing, and the more details we'll be knowing about how to handle those, it will be easy for us to be ourselves market ready. Okay, so this is how TryCatch does work so far. Now I want to showcase something related to let us go to here. Here it says the TryCatch, throw and rethrow, correct? So let us see the throw part. I have changed something over here. What things I have changed so far? I have added one activity that says throw. Let me change it. I am throw, so that I can, like, we can see what it is happening there. And in exception, you can see in terms of system exception, it was a message previously I have put, but now I have modified it to exception, and then there is a property that is message. Okay. Now let me run this. Still this particular Excel is opened. Let us see what happens. Then I will explain how and what particular things it is happening there, and how we can understand that what is our next step to do. It has stopped here. Previously it was running smoothly, but it has not currently not running smoothly. We have to continue. If we see there, it says the rate, the red one has been thrown by the system, correct? Previously, I was showing that we can control the exception message as per our choice. How? We have to keep it like surrounded by TryCatch, and in catch block, we have to like probably we have to add some log, or we have to add some bright line activity so that it writes the information which we are giving there. But now I have given another activity, that is throw. Throw is something when your system is getting interrupted by forcefully, and then it goes to the catches. Here I have added one property. That property is exception dot, sorry. That property is exception dot message. Now, if you can see, this is the line it has, this is green. That means it has executed this one. Okay. Here is the right line. It says the process cannot access because of it is being used by another process. So when we have to know which particular process and which particular thing it is like interrupting our system, we can directly use a throw over there, and then we can catch it. But in our case, it has been interrupted over here, and then it directly went to exception part. It has not come to the throw part. So if we need to throw it, though it meets the business like requirement, but purposefully we need to throw an exception over there. So in that case, we will be keeping this particular throw. Now, if you can see, it is throwing an exception. It says throw, I am a throw, correct? And there is a magic. Let me abort this because it has run actually. So it is going to the second. But when it has run, it has came to read range, then it came to throw. And here we can see this is the throw, I am throw, correct? And then if we see the exception, then it come to here. Here the exception message got changed, I am throw. So there are multiple options to utilize your TryCatch. The first one is if you using any activity in try, you can directly catch that activity, that error directly in exception. But mostly, mostly some of the person who are working like in production support, or maybe some other admin type of job, they cannot like forecast what particular exception it was thrown by the system by watching the error message. So in that case, what we do, we keep the throw here so that we can control the error message from here, and then we can, so that we do not need to modify it from here. Okay. So anyway, the exception should be exception dot message. And in try, if your process is getting failed, and if you want to purposefully force to fail it, then you can utilize this throw. Till here, any question or any doubt? Because next I will be showing you about the Rethrow process. I think we're good. So Rethrow is something. Here I am using another activity, that is Rethrow. And keep in mind that Rethrow we have to use always in exception part, like the catch part, and there is no property for Rethrow. Why? The Rethrow itself, it works if any particular process is failing due to some reason, and it comes to your catch part, then it has to go to the parent one. Okay. When we do use Rethrow, say I can give you an example of, say we have a login activity for a browser, and there are many type of exception may occur. We assume we have like added an exception for, say, browser is not open, one exception for if the URL is not opening, next exception we have added if a login is not happening, we have added an exception that the credential are not provided, we have added exception the credential are not matching, we have added exception that credential are not active. So these are the part of that particular login activities. So the parent will be the login, and these are all will be your subordinate case of exception. So in that case, I'm not giving an example by like through UiPath, but I can give you as example in Paint. Okay, it will be a bit easy for you. Say for this is your parent, okay, and this is your login, and there are separate TryCatch. One TryCatch for login, check if the credential are active. The next one is if URL is opening. The next one is say if the credential are active. The next one is say something related to logging, but this is your parent, correct? And these are all childs, and you want to get this particular whole process failed for each of the failure of this particular activity. So you do not need to put throw for each of these activities. Rather than you can utilize rethrow for each of these activities. So these are the TryCatch. These are the TryCatch. This is also an TryCatch. This is also an TryCatch, and this is also an TryCatch. So within this particular TryCatch in catch block, you should be using a rethrow so that it, when it fails, it come to the outer one. So it will be coming out of the activity itself. So this is also a TryCatch. Okay. So this is a concept of nested TryCatch. The TryCatch under TryCatch. And here in the TryCatch, if you are using a rethrow, it will throw an exception here, and then it will help you to get out from this particular flow to the parent one. And there you will be getting the actual error where this activity is failing. When we use this kind of TryCatch activity or rethrow to modularize your code, say one particular activity you are using for login, one is for after login. So after login you have 5 processes and those are related, and if you need to fail, like keep failing your all of the processes for the first one, then it will rethrow and then it will go to the parent. So it does work this way. There are many options or many cases are available around UiPath community or UiPath forum. You can check over there. Okay, but keep in mind we have to keep it here in exception part. So here we go, believe, TryCatch and rethrow. What is next? Okay, to give you like probably I have to show something to you before. We were discussing about the TryCatch, correct? And here, if you want to add some other exception also, you can add. It can be business rule exception. You can add more as also arguments. You can also as null reference. You can also as something. Okay, so there are different exception type you could like predict, and you can follow your action according to your requirement. So to this was the question. We have answer with it. What is the limit of like what is the limit or how many catches we can add to your TryCatch activity? The answer is actually there is no limit, because the more activity, the more type of exception we want to add, we can add as much as we can. Okay. Next one is Retry Scope. Let me cover it, this particular thing a bit quickly. Let us do one thing. Maybe control this, delete this. Just showing something. So next one is we will be traversing through retry. There is a retry scope, and if you see the structure of the retry, we have a retry scope where there is a condition. So here we have to make the condition, and that condition like depends upon what is the business requirement. Retry scope we utilize more when we are interacting with say browser. Why? Because if I do not take this an example read range, I can keep it this aside. So what kind of activity we use mostly in retry? Say click on something. When the condition will be element exist. Does that define the activity? I'm not going details like going into the details, but how retry scope works, when there is a activity, you have to make the condition first and then your activity will be executing. So it will be checking when you are using a retry scope, it will be checking if the element exists, then it will be clicking. If not, then it will be not clicking. Rather than you can surround it by TryCatch, and then you can utilize your exception capabilities to see if the element does not exist, what kind of exception you want to do. Why we use this particular activity? Because click activity, like if we keep click activity out of this retry scope, it will try to click first. Or we have like there is another way to implement this logic, that is if element exists then click. So anyway that also like solves the same purpose, but execution for like execution time will be much lesser for this particular activity. So this is retry scope when we utilize this mostly when we're interacting with UI elements. Okay, next thing we can go. Retry scope. Okay, one more thing, this is pretty easy. This is like not a big deal. I think many of us already know about this particular activity. We can directly check it from here. There, if you see the click activity, there is a property. That property is click continue on error. Okay, where we do keep like it comes as okay. We can hover and we can see that specifies the continue on execution remain activities even if the current activity failed. Once boolean, so it accepts only true or false where it does work. If you want to say keep your activity click on something, maybe I can give you an example. Let me keep out of it here. Okay, click activity, and so as per the flow, what it will be doing. Let me delete it. If there are two activities, one is if element exists, then it clicks on. Okay, sometimes if your UI element like maybe your UI element it is not loading properly, it says some pop-up message or some text or some button is not getting appeared properly, but still your process want to click it. So in that case, maybe your element is not visible to the user interface, but it has presence in the background, and your UiPath bot cannot can interact. In that case, what you have to do, say for if element exists, click, and say for element doesn't exist, and if we can add one more thing, say click once. Okay, say for this is the activity. So it goes to your browser page, and then it checks if an element exists, and then it clicks on one button, and then it clicks on the second button. Okay, but say your process doesn't have that much requirement that it will be always clicking on the first button and then second button. Anyway, the checkpoint is second button should be always clicking, but first point, like business can say eliminate. So in that case, what we have to do, we have to check is as true. How business, like how our workflow will work, if it will check element exist. If it exists, it will try to click. Okay, but when it is trying to click, it also like unable to find the UI element, but still the second one in will be executed. Why? Because if you can see the property, it is saying that continue on error is true. So either way, if it is not clicking or if the element is not still available, it will be passing through to the other respective activities. So this is an particular activity we use mostly in UiPath UI interaction when we are automating UI elements. In some cases, we have to do the next thing around. We have anything? I believe we have completed all the exception properties. We are pending with one more thing, and then we will be jumping into our Q&A session, and as well as the UiPath swag collection session, like the quiz. But before that, I want to show you something that is magical. Already I have built some workflows around this. I will run those and I will explain how it works actually. Okay. So apart from this exception handling, there is an exception handling for your UiPath process that we say as global exception handler. UiPath exception handler is nothing but workflow. This is not an activity actually. So if you go to your UiPath, this was our activity we have developed. If we want to use the global handler, there are multiple options we can do. We can go to design, we can use global handler. Okay, and the other one we have as option, if we want to do from the project specific, we have to go to project. Maybe it is taking a bit more time. And then if we go to here, we have already probably add, and there we have global handler also. Okay, so I have added some sort of global handler here. This is the process. I have added this particular log message. Here I wanted to convert string value into integer, and then I have added one log message. Here I have added this exception handler, which has created this global handler actually. Okay, so global handler is nothing but when you want to try, like you can take a decision at what particular point, in which particular condition, if you want to abort, you want to continue, you want to ignore, or you want to retry your bot to like run for further process. So when we are using like in a RE framework or in a larger project, there for each particular transaction, this particular exception may happen. So if we use a global exception handler in our project, we can take decision, or we can impose our decision to our project that in which particular condition, under which particular condition, the project will be continued or it will be aborted or retried. Okay, so let me just show this activity. Definitely, you can see over here, correct, that a string cannot be converted into integer. So definitely we are expecting an exception over there. And then we see how it runs actually. So let me run it through from here, from the main process. I will try to wrap up within 10 maybe. Kindly bear with me for more 5 minutes, and then we'll be jumping onto your quiz session. Maybe the system is a bit slow. I can stop and rerun it again. Let me close the other resources. Well, in global handler, there are two properties. One is error info and one is result. So if like what will be the result you want to perform, that will be depending upon your error info. Okay, let us, it is session internal error. We can restart. So these are the exception already handled within the UiPath Studio. And when we are trying to run this process, maybe some internal things are not happening properly, and that is why it is showing error. I have restarted. Now it is running. You can see, and here it says that convert to string to integer cannot be possible. Now, if we do step into, you can see here it came automatically from main to global handler, correct? And here in the log message, it is stating that error info, and based upon error info, what will be our error action or the result. You can see I already have given that particular information, that based upon error info, you can decide what will be your result. So let me continue it. Okay. Now you can see it has started running from here. It has gone to this process. Here it got exception. It went to global handler. In global handler, we have given the error info.exception.message, and based upon that, we have added that decision that error action we can use dot ignore. It is the result. So this is a small case I wanted to showcase where we can utilize this particular capability for a larger project, where we can take a decision that based upon which particular condition we will be ignoring our execution, or where we need to continue our execution. Okay. And then again it came to this process, and then it has run. So if you can check the output, it has gone to the before assigning, and then it went to the exception, then it went to current retry number is 0. That is from this particular activity. Yes, current retry number. And then it went back to the main again, the current retry after the session of activity. So it is after the session of activity. So in any case, I may be probably I was a bit hurry to make you understand this particular global handler, but this is one of the most powerful tool UiPath has to utilize within your project. Okay, I think that makes sense. This is something I will be probably sharing Okay, I have already added the links which are associated. Like I have taken also reference from these links only. Like I'm not beyond UiPath. I have learned from UiPath docs itself. I have utilized those in my project, and I have added those link where you can directly go and you can check it. The information I have shared so far. Maybe we can start our chances to get the swag. Are we ready?
Yeah.
For cool. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I'm not sure how many are there till now, but
It's
this is
17.
cool. But this chapter is very important because when you are creating your own process, exception handling is one of the most important thing people will be looking for in terms of interview. Also, if you go to like any particular like interview session, people always ask about how you do handle the exception, or what particular methodology you use in your process to guide people to take the corrective actions. So that is why I wanted to like show all the capabilities we have using. Okay, cool. Please go to Mentimeter, type the code. I have not started yet. Please.
I am saying the quiz is not started. That
Yeah, quiz. I have not.
Yeah,
No,
he has not started yet.
I have not started. Just
Yeah.
let me know once you have already like gone into the page.
And guys, if you all want to join through mobile phones, then you all can scan the QR code here, and then you will be redirected to the page.
That is correct.
And guys, please let us know in the chat that if you have joined or not.
I have paused my sharing for a time being because I wanted to start my quiz. Let me know once you are like everyone is able to access the page.
Guys, please confirm with a yes or no in the chat, or unmute yourselves. Joined, okay.
We have 14 participants so far.
I can't join actually.
You
You
are
can,
facing an issue?
now you can, because I have already like started the presenting.
Okay.
So please retry.
Can you share your Mentos
I'm sharing. Just give me a second. Are you able to see?
No, it's just showing the error and exception handling page.
Okay, let me share it from now.
Not yet.
Okay.
It's saying that let's recap the key takeaways from this session, quiz time. Am I joined?
Sorry. What were you saying, Krishnendu?
It's saying quiz time. Let's recap the key takeaways from this session.
Okay.
Yeah. That is correct. So
that means I joined, right?
Yeah. The screen is quiz time. Let's recap the key takeaway from the session. I see only 9 has been joined. Other people, you want to join, or should I start?
Mustaq, the screen is not visible yet.
Means
we cannot. We cannot see the leadership. No, you have not. You haven't started the quiz yet, but the web page is not showing you.
Okay.
I think there is an issue with your share screen option, I think.
Okay. Just give me a second. Let me stop sharing.
You have stopped sharing, right?
No, I have like resumed.
Yeah, you yeah, it's visible now. Yeah.
Now visible? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have 10. Maybe we can give 30 seconds more to start.
Yeah. Guys, please join.
17 people are
If you all
there.
are if you all are facing any issue, please let us know in the chat.
It's not coming the entering our name page.
So
It is coming as.
should we allow him to share his screen?
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Can you share your screen, Krishnendu? I'll give you the permission for that. Just a sec.
Actually, I'm connected from mobile.
Oh, from
Okay.
mobile, okay.
Let me take a look from my mobile also.
Yeah.
Other participant enter their name. Can you reply?
Yeah,
No,
this
no,
please confirm.
no. There was no option available for entering our names.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it is restricted by.
It will take by default names for us. Then we have to mention our names, whoever will want.
Okay, no problem. In that way, we have to cover it because we cannot change it because Mentimeter probably is not giving us that option. No worries, no worries. Let us start and let us see how the leaderboard is coming actually. And then please, who is like performing top, let us know. And then we can probably Apurva or like we can take the name from there.
और सच बताना कोई जो भी होगा.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we can start, right?
We can start.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Get ready, guys.
Okay, now we have the option for entering the name.
Cool.
Oh,
Please.
now, okay. Then Mustaq, we should wait for another 2 or 3 minutes for entering the name.
No worries. We can.
Yeah. Everyone, please enter your real names. Dave has entered.
Yeah, 14 is good number. 13, are you able to join and add your name
enter
there?
your names.
Cool.
The 1 minute.
Actually, we have only 13. Other were
Yeah,
moderators.
Yeah,
Got it.
actually. Yeah. Mhm.
Maybe we can start now.
Yeah, we can start now. Everyone is ready, right?
Yes.
Okay. Chalo, let's go. So the first question is the global exception handler is designed to determine the project's behavior when encountering an execution error. What is a global exception handler? The first option is an activity or type of flow or a property. So
Cool.
the answer is B.
The answer is B, and maximum people has given. So if you can see the whole question, the question has a gist, like the question is simple. What is the global exception handler? The other sentence I have added, that is to uh, give you an like a thought that where the global exception handler has been come from, and that is not a property and that is not an activity. We have created an exception handler on the last part, so I think everyone is aligned. Who has given the wrong answer? I think that clears your question.
Yeah. So Priyanshu is leading the board.
Priyanshu is leading the board.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So we'll move on to the next question.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is, what is the most effective way to handle the click on an UI element that is not always available? The options are place the click activity inside a try or catch box block, or the second option is set the continue on error property of the click activity to true. The answer is A.
It is, the answer is 50-50. I know
Yeah.
why it has been happened, but I can explain a bit more. It says what is the most effective way to handle. So there is a phrase that is the most effective, correct? Both the answer are right, but which is the most effective? The question is the click activity on UI element that is not always available. So if your activity is not always available, but you do not know that if it is mandate to continue or not mandate to continue. If it is not mandate to continue, then you can say it is at continue on error. But as we do not know that it is like we can abort the system or we can just ignore that particular activity. So we cannot, bot will be finding error on that particular part. So in that case, we have to use TryCatch. Within TryCatch, we have to use click activity. And then in catch, we have to search for the system exception that was like UI element is not available. I guess that answers your confusion. Sure. Nilesh,
Yeah, now
Nilesh.
Nilesh.
Yeah, now Nilesh is leading.
Let's move on to the next question. We can add a custom message in Rethrow. True or false?
Yeah. If you remember, there were two activities. One was throw and one was Rethrow. Just remember that for which I have added a custom exception for which we cannot.
Maximum have answered the true.
Yeah. Maybe I can explain this thing a bit more illustrative way. So when we have used that Rethrow, we have used that Rethrow activity within the exception. If you can like remember, we have used that within the catch, and there is no property was available to add any input from the user, because Rethrow is only getting the Rethrow exception from child to parent. Does that serve your confusion, guys?
One, please.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe questions are a bit more tricky, but concepts are a bit more easy to adapt it, because Rethrow does not have any property to give any input, but throw has. Let us see who is on the leaderboard now. Today is an example of like जज्बात बदल गए, हालात बदल गए, हालात बदल गए.
So it's Sri Lakshmi.
Now Sri Lakshmi on top.
Yeah. Third place. Finally, sequence is part of.
This is very easy. I'm expecting everyone will be able to answer it.
Yeah. So the options are global handler, TryCatch, and ContinueOnError.
Error. Yeah, most of has given the right answer. For global handler, the finally does not come as a default. If you can remember, I have like used this particular phrase. If there is a TryCatch, there will be always a finally. TryCatch, if that is not happening, finally you can give your mandate execution. So it will be a part of TryCatch. Let us see. Now I think again, oh, Sri Lakshmi is on top. Yeah. Nilesh is giving tough competition as Chetan.
Yeah. Oh, so
I'm not sure.
No worries.
No worries. We have like a name.
Yeah. Achha, this was the last question.
This was the last question actually.
Okay.
So, no worries, but we can take decision based upon the
yeah, last
Yeah,
that is displayed.
correct.
Can you
Today-
please refresh once?
Refresh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's-
you can
let's have a
refresh
look
here.
if it helps us.
Yeah, most of the thing helps us with refresh and system restart. That,
One
that
stop
is,
solution.
yeah, that is actually the
Okay.
actual exception handling.
So there is some problem, I think.
Yeah.
But you are still in the meeting. I wonder why it is happening.
Sorry.
No, you are still in the meeting, but I wonder why it is happening, like whether Menti is working or not.
Maybe like Menti has some downtime. We do not know. They are also implementing their exception handling. Maybe
Okay.
we can restart. Let us give a last try. If
Yeah.
not, then we can consider the last leaderboard person who was on the top, because
Yeah, it was Sri Lakshmi, right?
yep, Sri Lakshmi.
Uh,
Before wrapping up, I believe many of us have some doubt or question, and we should be addressing those also. Maybe we can take another 5 or 6 minutes to discuss about things if we have some question.
Yeah, if you all have any doubts, you can unmute yourselves.
Hello, Mustaq, can you share your project for global exception handler?
Yeah, I will share all these. Hey, probably it has been restarted. Can we give a try?
Yeah, please again
We
join
are
in
in,
this.
we are in, we are in.
Cool.
Oh,
No, it
yeah,
has.
it's Sri Lakshmi.
No, no. Can you please go back? Go back and press enter.
Sri Lakshmi, hard time for you.
Which action
Which-
is not available? Sorry, you can continue.
Yeah, which action is not available in global exception handler? That is continue, stop, abort, and retry. Everyone has given voted.
It's
The
stop.
answer is stop actually. Maybe I was a bit quick here when I was showing this, but if you have seen, these are continue, ignore, retry, and abort. So there is no option for stop. Okay, so stop is the right answer.
Let's see the leaderboard.
Yep. Sri Lakshmi, I'm not sure. Krishnendu.
Krishnendu. Yeah, it's Sri. Oh,
Sri
yeah, it's
Lakshmi.
Sri Lakshmi. Yeah.
Uh,
Congrats, Sri Lakshmi.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take your screenshot.
And please share your mail ID in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
And as well, Krishnendu, you were asking about this global handler project or these activities. I will share. Maybe you can. Apurva, are we sharing this code using the like UiPath?
No. We don't. We are not providing these codes.
Okay, but we can anyway. But Krishnendu, I can share in your email. Can you post your
Yes, I
email
will.
here?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Are we good? Like for today's session? Anything we are left with? From my side,
Yeah.
I'm good.
We need the mail ID from Sri Lakshmi.
Sri Lakshmi, please.
Oh, she's from GDS.
Can you
Yeah.
can hand over in office, I believe.
We will be from different location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. Hey, Krishan, I will be sharing this code with you in Gmail. No worries.
And another question,
Hmm.
there is no activity to unzip a .rar file.
.rar file, definitely there are aftermarket activities are available. But how we do, like in the .rar file, we do utilize this particular activity manually. We can follow the same. Say, if we let me check once. Add to say for GIF file, what we do manually. Extract all, no? Krishna, I'm not sure, like UiPath is providing any activity for this particular thing. I have to see. I have not used so far, but like if there is no activity available in marketplace, there should be, like I'm 100% sure that there should be some activity. But if you do not find, you can simply go to this, like you can repeat this activity using your UI automation. You can search for your folder location, and then get, like there is an activity, you can get all the directories, like file directories. Okay, you can search it from the UiPath forum, how to get all the directories or all the folders, and there you can create a logic. If folder name contains .zip, and then a click activity on that, so it should be zip and then right click activity and then extract. And in extract, there should be, like it should be asking for a folder location, and you can manually put your folder location over here. Like this is pretty much doable using your UiPath legacy automation if there is no activities available.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
But I do it with some code I found in the online. I create one .bat file, and after that it will run.
Yeah, so basically that is the power of UiPath actually. So where there is no particular activity is available, you always can utilize your own solution within UiPath. It may be VB, it may be C#, it may be batch file, it may be application, it may be any kind of Python code. Even you can run also Java using UiPath. So how those things we do utilize? So there we have to some activity as invoke properly. So instead of batch file, you can write a code. Like assume that someone is not using UiPath, they are using C# code. They have to do the same thing using their code, correct? In that case, how you can do same thing? So you have to utilize this invoke code here, and here you have to write your code, the C# code or VBA code, and then you can run it simply. So this is the power of UiPath, where there is no activity, there is like different options to invoke your other activities, so that you can at least like continue developing what you want to. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, guys? I think it was a good session for us.
Yeah, so we can wrap it up here.
Yes, Shantanu, like it's over to you.
Yeah. Anyone has any doubts here? I guess no. So we can wrap it up here. So thank you everyone for joining today's session, and do register for tomorrow's session, and do join the WhatsApp group that has been shared in the chat. And yeah, we can wrap it up here now. Thank you, Mustaq.
Hey, thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.